Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of F and White People, Friendly Neighborhood White People, where we bullshit about things that are important to us. My name is Harry, and I am joined by my lovely, caring, beautiful, I'm paid to say that, wife, Brandy. So, Brandy, say hi.
Hi, adoring people.
And yeah, so today we are going to talk about dire wolves and the fact that they've cloned them and they're bringing them back. This into de-extinction, de-extinction. Now, so Brandy, give us, if you could, if you got it available, a little synopsis or a little snippet or something that you got on your laptop there that explains what the scientists are doing or have done.
So this company called Colossal decided that it would be a good thing to bring back species. And the first species that they've decided to bring back is the direwolf. It's not the only species that they brought back, but it was the first.
Well, they haven't brought back the other ones yet.
No, they
working
have.
on.
They have brought back something. They brought back the red wolf.
Oh, okay. And the source on that is where they brought back the red wolf is where?
USA Today.
Okay. I have not seen that they brought back the red wolf.
Or maybe it was the Independent. It was one or the other because I had both of them up. And I read both articles before we started. But they basically took the remains that they had, the little snippets that they had of direwolf DNA from fossils, and joined it with gray wolf DNA to create these direwolves. And they say because direwolves and gray wolves are like very closely related,
99.5% related,
that this is now like a direwolf. But they also said they don't really give a fuck what we call them. Like if we want to call them de-extinct direwolves, or if we want to call them just like enhanced gray wolves or whatever, it's still like a species that they have brought back.
I'm looking at a video right now of they're no longer puppies. Speaking of puppies.
Speaking of puppies.
I'm looking at a little kind of loop of them right now, and yeah, these things are huge.
I mean, dire wolves are huge.
Yeah, but like, and we know dire wolves from Game of Thrones and
Yes.
things like that. But looking at these still puppies, they're not full grown yet. But looking at these wolves, they're not what you see in Game of Thrones. They're not ghosts. They are all white fur because apparently that's what the dire wolf was. And dire wolves, before they went extinct, were indigenous to North America.
So it's actually weird because according to one source I read, which again was either USA Today or the Independent, the real dire wolves were closer to red wolves. And so therefore they should have like a red tinted fur. But I don't know. I think it's interesting that they're all white.
Now I'm looking at CNN.com, and according to Colossal, the group that has cloned them, dire wolves and gray wolves share 99.5% of their DNA.
Yeah, but like for comparison, we share like a great amount of DNA with a banana.
Yeah, but we also share 98% of our DNA with bonobo chimps.
Yes.
We're 2% away from throwing feces at each other, even though some of the folks that I've met in my life
Are still throwing feces at each other?
yeah, that 2% is not that far apart. So what I'm reading right now, these 3 dire wolves are currently living on a 2,000-acre site on an undisclosed location, smartly so, because you don't want a bunch of people showing up trying to see these things. It is enclosed by a 10-foot tall, 3-meter tall, for our metric friends, zoo-grade fencing, where they are monitored by security personnel, drones, and live camera feeds. They've also said that the facility has been certified by the American Humane Society and is registered with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So it's not like that they have these wolves in like kennels and whatnot. They're actually roaming free.
Yeah, so it's not like that guy that I babysat for when I was in high school who literally had a wolf in a kennel.
Yeah, because you don't
like it was a large kennel, but like he didn't have 2,000 fucking acres to run on.
Yeah, you don't put wolves in kennels. You just don't do that because wolves are not designed to be in kennels. Dogs really aren't designed, in my opinion, to be put in kennels either. But now they have dens. Wolves have dens and burrows and things like that.
Yeah.
But a den is different than a kennel.
Very much so. Like you have
Because a den is something that they create.
and you have more of a natural point of like ingress and egress where you're not like just like you can lock a dog in a kennel. You can lock a wolf in a kennel and they can't just get out like they can in their dens.
Well, with enough determination, they can. But you also, and what I've seen from, people who study wolves and have been around wolves and things like that, if you have a wolf, you don't put it in a crate and go grocery shopping. You don't just leave it home while you go out and do stuff. No, that wolf is your pack, and that wolf will break out of wherever it is and find you.
So I know that to not necessarily be true because the guy I babysat for, like he would leave and the wolf would stay back because you couldn't just take the wolf to Kroger. You couldn't just take the wolf to, Land Between the Lakes.
Yeah, but who's saying that guy actually knew what he was talking about and just didn't abuse that wolf?
I'm saying the wolf didn't get out. That's my point, is the wolf didn't get out. The wolf,
yeah, but
stayed.
what did the guy have to do to modify that behavior?
That I don't know. Because I will say that the wolf seemed pretty wild to me.
You're talking about a dude in the backwoods of Adams. And
no, technically the backwoods of Springfield.
The backwoods of goddamn Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm watching videos from and whatnot from experts and zoologists.
I'm just saying that, there are parents. I don't know.
So to sit there and say that, I'm wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
You just said I was wrong.
I didn't say you were wrong necessarily. I said I know that to not be entirely true because there's this wolf that I personally met when I was a child.
You observed.
Yes, I observed.
But if we're going to go on that, when I was a kid, there was a neighbor that I had that had a wolf, and it didn't live in a kennel.
Well, this one didn't live in a kennel so much as it lived in a...
And they let it roam the house. They let it roam the backyard. But they just say, if you are not familiar or if you're not introduced to this wolf by the family, don't come around here.
So this wolf that I met, that I was introduced to, it lived in a very high fenced area. It was a double fence to where you could feed it without going directly to it. It ate steak. It was a very well-fed fucking wolf. It ate better than I ever did. And it wouldn't go crazy or anything when the guy left, but it would go crazy if it met someone it didn't know. And it didn't know me because I didn't babysit the kid for long.
Because wolves are very territorial.
And when but I was my responsibility while babysitting this kid to feed the fucking wolf. And so I had to put a stake through this little slider door.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you would do with prisoners and shit.
And then I had to pull a thing to let the wolf come closer to the stake.
You would have to pull a lever.
Well, it wasn't actually, it was a lever, but it was more like a rope lever. But yeah. And that wolf it was pretty fucking cool to see, but I didn't like the way that wolf lived because it didn't have a lot of, it had land. It did have land, but it didn't have a lot of land.
Now, I will say that the neighbor I had in Oregon when I was a kid that had the wolf was a member of an indigenous tribe. And he also had a red-tailed hawk. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Now, I didn't get to pet these animals, and because the guy was like, no. Not only will this wolf take your fingers off, this hawk will take your fingers off. Because these are not animals you can just, look at the pretty thing. But we're getting a little off track here because Colossal, this cloning company that has cloned dire wolves, has also said that they have plans on resurrecting the mammoth, the dodo, and the Tasmanian tiger.
I didn't know about the Tasmanian tiger. I'd read that they were planning on bringing back the dodo and the woolly mammoth, So this brings to an interesting question. What is your opinion on all of this recreation of past species? Because I got some mixed thoughts.
I got some mixed feelings. For one, the scientist in me is like, that's fucking awesome. We're going to see animals that were once extinct again and whatnot. But at the same time, why? It's like, so the environment that these animals were in is not the same environment as it was back then. Yeah, today's environment may not be suitable
For dire wolves.
for dire wolves, for mammoths, for Tasmanian tigers, for any other.
I can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be suitable for a fucking woolly mammoth unless we're putting them in fucking Antarctica or fucking,
Enough F's there?
Alaska, like higher parts of fucking Canada.
Woolly mammoths or mammoths are definitely designed to be in the harsher, colder environment.
Yes.
They would have to be put in, they can't be, they would have to be in Canada, the northern parts of Canada, or transported to northern parts of like Russia and other environments where, Greenland would be a good place for, woolly mammoths. But you definitely don't want to put a mammoth in Florida. But this also, like, to quote Jurassic Park, you're so preoccupied on whether or not you can, you forgot, should you?
Yeah.
So this could lead to where they're like, well, guess what we're going to do next? We're going to bring back the dinosaur. Which one?
And then we have a real world Jurassic Park, and we've seen from all the movies where that ends up.
Yeah, because
Like,
these
that's
idiots
not-
are going to be like, hey, yeah, we're going to bring back the T-Rex. No.
Yeah, let's
No.
not. Let's not.
We're going to bring back, and worse, they're going to be like, we're going to bring back the raptors. Absolutely not. Do not bring back a velociraptor. That is the dumbest thing. We have dinosaurs. They're called crocodiles.
They're also called chickens.
But the crocodile has not changed form in millions of years. They are living dinosaurs, and they're terrifying.
That they are. Like, I don't think we need dinosaurs. We already have crocodiles and alligators, but
And crocodiles have been observed adapting this behavior now that in the water, they will look like, they will like float upside down and whatnot and flail their arms about. And from a distance, it looks like a human drowning. So people will go out there trying to save what they think is a human until the crocodile's like, oh, gotcha, tricked ya. And these are animals that have their brains are the size of like, my fist. They have very small brains, but they're adapting to situations and bringing on behaviors to trick humans into thinking, oh no, it's a fellow human drowning. Come save me. Come save me.
So I agree with you on the sense that, like, bringing back, like, the dire wolf specifically, I think that's cool as fuck, right? Like, I think that is
But you're
so
bringing
fucking
back
cool. I think
predators.
it's so fucking cool that we have the technology and the science to do that. And I think it's fucking neat as shit. But on the other hand, like, I do think that it's problematic on several levels. Like, one, like you said, we've thought so hard about can we do it that we haven't thought about should we do it, and why shouldn't we do it? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Like, for one, dire wolves are not made for today's world. They're just not. They don't have a good ecosystem here that's going to be friendly to them. We're bringing them into a world like that is already plagued by its own problems, like pollution and climate change and all of this stuff that we don't want to have to put another species through. And then also, like, if we have this technology, why are we not bringing back recently extinct species, right? Like species that humans caused to become extinct.
Dire wolves were extinct because of humans. Mammoths are extinct because of humans.
We don't know necessarily why the dire wolf is extinct unless you found that somewhere.
I would say, like, the tiger wolf was hunted to extinction, and the tiger wolf went extinct in the early 1900s. We hunted it to extinction. Same with the dodo. Same with the mammoth. A lot of these animals, we're going to make the polar bear extinct.
I do think we're probably going to make the polar bear extinct.
And I don't think a lot of these animals became naturally... we caused the white rhino to be extinct. The only living... there are no wild white rhinos anymore.
Just in captivity. And you and I have been able to see one in captivity.
Yeah, but there'll never be a wild one ever again, simply because it will be hunted to death for reasons that are ridiculous, because they want the ivory off the horns. I don't think a lot of these animals that have gone extinct went naturally extinct.
Well, but is that not natural extinction?
Humans hunting them down to the point of extinction?
How is that different than any other animal hunting them down to the point of extinction?
Because of a cycle. There's a balance. Like if you have like when they reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone, they did so to help control and regulate the overpopulation of deer and things like that. And it balanced it out.
So interestingly enough, humans aren't listed as one of the reasons. For the woolly mammoth, yes. But for the direwolf, no. One of the main things apparently that took the direwolf was climate change, which we are still going through. And we're going through a new cycle of that. Though this is human climate change, not just natural climate change. And then also the competition with gray wolves, because when gray wolves became a thing, gray wolves were better at hunting.
Lack of food source, which I'm sure we had a hand in that. Just because and I will say, just because we didn't indirectly hunt them down and cause their extinction, I'm sure our behaviors of overhunting. I mean, look at the buffalo. It almost went extinct because of overhunting.
Well, the direwolf also apparently was adept at hunting large herbivores. Like that was their main food source. And so when those herbivores died out, so did the direwolf.
Yeah, and I would say the same as with the saber-toothed tiger. When there were no longer, because the saber-toothed tiger had those long-ass fangs to get into the neck and the jugular of the thicker hides of mammoths and the giant sloths and giant animals, that we humans went, oh, buddy, that big old thing will feed us for a very long time. And we're just going to kill and kill and kill and kill. Now, the gray wolves, smart enough to go, hey, if we hang around these hairless apes here and whatnot, we will find food. And if we help them find the food, we will get food. We made wolves into dogs. And now we have fucking things like pugs and chihuahuas and bulldogs and things like that. We have designer dogs. Dogs that have health problems because we wanted them to look a certain way so that they can fit inside of purses. Hell, one of our dogs, the Jacoby, the Beagle / Jack Russell Terrier, is so designed so that it can take on the larger rodents. Jack Russells were bred to be able to go down in holes and whatnot and dig out the rats and other things. But because we designed their tails to be so thick, and it's so that we can, because they couldn't get out, it was so that we can grab their tails and pull them back out. We have bred things into extinction.
Well, which brings up the whole, should we even be breeding things genetically in general?
The Labradoodle was a creation by some dude so his, kids can have a dog but didn't have allergies. He didn't like the way the poodle looked but loved the, energy and everything from a Labrador.
Yes, and he has come on board saying that, he created a monster.
Yeah, because everybody was like, oh my God, look at it. It's so great. It's so, I want one. No. But it's a hypoallergenic dog.
That you can play with.
Even though scientists say that the sooner you introduce your babies to pet dander and things like that, the less likely they will grow up to have an allergy to it.
Well, that's true of a lot of things. Like the sooner you just introduce them into fucking
nature,
allergens. But not food allergies, because food allergies are a whole different story.
I mean, that's just poor genetics, and that's a whole other topic. But back to cloning and things like that. But I also think cloning, we're wasting our time on cloning animals, but we'll also all be on board with cloning animals, but we won't clone humans.
Well, I mean, I think that brings up a whole different ethical set of questions, which you and I have gone through before, and I think it's a whole different podcast of whether or not a cloned human is human, whether or not it gets the same rights as humans. So,
because you got to wonder if you clone yourself without editing it, what's the point? Because it's still going to have all the genetic, mishaps and everything that you have. It's still going to have its predisposition to cancer if you have it already.
Yeah, but I can think of a reason to clone myself again, this is a whole different topic, but I think I can think of a reason to clone myself without genetically slicing and dicing,
So
which is so you can run an experiment of like, what would you be if you didn't have your childhood trauma?
Well, then,
Like, if I raised a little version of myself, would it be a better human than I am?
well, if you clone it from your current DNA markup and whatnot, does the brain damage from trauma transfer over?
See, and that's another interesting experiment that you could kind of run is,
Or
is there so much epigenetics like tied up in my genetics now that it's just from generational trauma and generational trauma upon generational trauma?
that's why there's predispositions to alcoholism and shit like that. If your family has a history of being alcoholics and drug users, you're more likely to become an alcoholic or a drug user because over the generations, your genetic makeup has learned to accept these factors. You're passing it through the genes with your spermies and your eggies. So if you clone it, the predisposition, in my opinion, is going to be there if you don't modify it first.
But there's still like epigenetics are a thing, but there's still nature versus nurture, which is both. They're both to blame. But take away the bad nurture, and what do you get? Like, do you get a better human? Do you get a better version of me? Do you get a more together version of me?
Well, aren't there studies out that have taken children who come from families that have these factors in their DNA, but they've removed them from that family? They've, been adopted, fostered, and whatnot, but still later show the...
Yeah, but to what degree? Because we don't have someone to compare them to, someone who actually lived that hard life. So, no, that's genetically the same.
But they would then, even though they've gone through a loving, nurturing environment, still later in adulthood, shown the signs of their genetic mutation.
But we still don't have like the exact clone version of them that lived the hard life that they were going to live to compare them to. Like how much worse that would be. Or would it be worse is the question. I think it would be. But that's the kind of the question. And the one thing that comes to mind, the one study that comes to mind, because we didn't experiment. Well, we did experiment on this poor girl, but is Jeannie. Have you ever heard of Jeannie?
I Dream of Jeannie?
No. So Jeannie was this girl who was found who had not ever experienced love. Like she had been abused since the day she was born, and like severely fucking abused, like locked in her own feces, kind of abused. And it was horrific. And they studied her for years, and to show the effect that the absence of love has on a child, on a human. And that's why in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you see that love and affection is down there as a basic need. Like you need it in order to live. Like you need food and water.
I mean, it's interesting, and I'm not going to be one of those people that stands in their way of doing this, but I definitely do think that this is the cloning of dire wolves and mammoths and Tasmanian tigers and dodos and things like that. That is definitely the gate opening for future experimentation where it's just like, no, do not bring that back. There is no reason on Earth to bring back a velociraptor, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, any kind of large predatory animal that will easily walk through humanity. There's a reason why dinosaurs survived for so fucking long.
They were an apex predator.
And there's a reason why the Brontosaurus, the Stegosaurus, the Triceratops and shit like that lived so long too. They were apex prey. They knew how to survive the predators. And when you introduce apex prey, shit, we're ants to them. You bring back a Triceratops, a 3-horned, fully armored, forget about elephants and fucking rhinoceroses. A Triceratops? No. But it's a prey animal that will make a woolly mammoth or an elephant look like child's play. That can literally destroy a building and not break a sweat. Oh, we'll just keep it confined. With what?
And step on us like we were ants. Like it wouldn't think about it. It wouldn't try to kill us. It would just kill us.
Yeah. It has no concern for us. Oh, we'll teach it. Why?
Yeah, I don't know the purpose is of bringing back a Triceratops.
You're playing God
but we're playing God with gray wolves.
with dire wolves.
Well, that's what I meant. And I think to some degree we're playing God by bringing back red wolves, but I'm more online with bringing back the red wolf than I am with bringing back dire wolves. Although I still think it's fucking cool as fuck. Like, the scientist in me is like, that is fucking amazing.
And I'm not. No, I think it's cool as fuck too.
And that is cool as fuck. And I want to talk to the scientist who did this because I'm fascinated by it. But on the other hand, like, ethically speaking, I think that it's a bad move, bro. It's a bad move.
Yeah, we need to if you're gonna start cloning things and bringing things back, let's start with something smaller.
Let's start with something that like recently went extinct. Let's start with something that like humans in recent memory have caused to go extinct.
Now, the dodo is something that was recently extinct. We hunted it to death to extinction, and I think in the late 1800s.
Or let's bring back something that hasn't actually gone extinct yet, but is just on the verge.
Yeah, no, let's start cloning the white rhinos.
Let's start cloning the white rhinos because we need more white rhinos.
But if we're going to pick predators too, let's start cloning polar bears.
Yeah, because polar bears will fucking kill you as soon as they look at you, but...
Yeah, because their environment, humans are food.
But...
And have you seen the hybrids of the grizzlies and the polars?
The pizzlies.
Oh, God. No, the growlers.
No, the pizzlies.
The growlers.
I like pizzly better.
Yeah, because it gives it a cute little fuzzy name. No, but it will still eat you on hand. There's no, like, you could sit there and look at a grizzly bear and be like, whoa bear, whoa bear, whoa bear, and it will, for the most part, fuck off. No, yeah, a growler. I'm not going to call it a prizzly or pizzly.
Pizzly bear.
No, because when you add cute, cuddly little names to a predator that will eat you on sight, that makes people think that they can go out and just try to interact with these things. And you cannot, under any circumstances, interact with these animals in the wild.
I don't get how you got to growler, though, because it's either a pizzly bear or a growler bear.
All right, a growler bear. A growler. Yeah, but I say growler simply because that motherfucker is just going to be like, oh, and you're fucked.
For most people, yeah.
You're fucked bear.
Yeah, it is a you're fucked bear. It's a not today bear.
It's a fuck around and find out bear.
I wonder how many people have fucked around and found out with a fucking polar bear or a pizzly bear.
And survived? Not many.
I mean, I wonder, like...
It's like when the people who do documentaries and shit about polar bears and things like that, they have said that they have to make sure they maintain enough distance and stay downwind of them, because if any kind of scent or anything that lets that bear know that they're there, it's on. And they hunt beautifully. They are one of the greatest hunters. They have the same hunting style as orcas.
So I had to look this up to make sure it was like accurate. But you've seen the photo though of this one dude like feeding a mama polar bear while the cub is like attached to its leg. The cub is attached to the man's leg. Have you seen this photo?
No. Show it to me.
So here's the photo. And you guys at home can like fucking look it up. I wanted to see if this was fucking real because we were talking about polar bears and it like this image popped into my mind.
All right, and there are some people
and
who
apparently
have
only Mark Dumas.
And I think Mark Dumas is just got that vibe, because some people have that vibe. Some people give off that energy where that animal is just like, it's like the individual is like, it's like the deer whisperer. Have you heard of this guy?
No.
Wild deer. He feeds them. And they just and they just come out of the woodwork.
Because I have a good relationship with animals. Like, I can get most animals to fucking trust me. But
And it's because, and I think...
deer still run for me.
Because they sense the fear.
Damn deer. I'm not afraid of a deer.
You're not afraid of a deer might charge you one day.
No.
I love you, but you're stupid.
No, it's not stupid. It's just I know that a deer is not going to charge me unless they feel frightened, and I don't give off a frightening vibe. I give off a very...
If you didn't give off a frightening vibe, they would come up to you.
No, I think they're just naturally scared of most humans, and I don't have like enough of a good vibe to get a deer to like just...
I think there are very few people that...
give off that good of a vibe.
That good of a vibe.
Like it's a Jane Goodall kind of vibe.
Oh, yeah, no. That's Jane Goodall is like Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah. Don't say shit about Jane Goodall.
Yeah, we will come for you.
We will come for you.
Nations will come for you.
Dude, the fucking entire like ape community will fucking come for
The
you.
entire continent of Africa would be like, you said what about our white lady? That's our white lady.
She comes and feeds our animals.
No, she rescues them. When she walks into the woods and the gorillas go, it's nice to meet you once again, Miss Goodall.
Except in gorilla speak.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are people out there, I think, that do have that aura where animals are like, okay, I am intrigued. I'm not, my predatory brain has switched off. Like, what is this? And maybe it's their scent. They've learned to, not give off a scent. Their natural scent is like a fawn. Baby deer do not have a natural scent. They have no scent at all. And that's a survival trait that they've adopted so that predators can't find them. Or like sugar gliders. Sugar gliders don't really give off a scent. So I think it's your presence and whatnot. Like I personally, no, animals run for me.
So, did you know, and I just looked this up because I was curious. Did you know that gorillas are actually only indigenous to Central Africa?
They're only native to Central Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorillas typically live in the lowland tropical rainforest of Central Africa.
Mm-hmm.
There are some subspecies found in the montane rainforest and the bamboo forest. But
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Congo is Central Africa.
yes, there's the eastern and western species of gorilla, which are separated by the Congo River and its tributaries.
Yeah. And what I've seen in the documentaries and whatnot, when they're going out looking for gorillas and whatnot, it's very hard to find gorillas on the basis that if a gorilla troop does not want to be found, you will not find it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like easy to find a gorilla, which is weird because they are so very fucking large. Like you and I have seen gorillas.
And when we went to Disney and we were at Animal Kingdom, and this male silverback was a good 100 yards away from us in its enclosure. And I looked at that thing and I looked at the zookeeper and went, that's a silverback? And he was like, yeah. I was like, it is so far away, but still is massive. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, there's
silverbacks
no
are
way.
bigger than you think.
Yeah,
like you think they're massive, and then you see a silverback gorilla, and you're like, oh my God, that is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It's like elephants. You think they're big until you get next to one.
And then you're like, oh.
And then you look up and be like, oh.
I didn't understand.
No.
I didn't understand the concept of big before. Now I understand the concept of big because I've been next to an elephant.
Let's change the word big to gargantuan.
Yeah, so eastern gorillas are found in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the DRC, Uganda, and Rwanda. And western gorillas inhabit Nigeria, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, the Republic of Congo, Angola, and the DRC.
But
so the DRC has both. That's cool.
But also at the same time, if these animals, if you create a bond with them, do not forget it. Because I have seen the videos of people who rescue chimps and apes and things like that. And then these animals are released back into wild. And then 5-10 years later, they're like, I'm going to go out and find it. And the rangers are like, no, they will kill you. And be like, I'm going to take that chance. And it's generally white people who are like, no. And they're like, okay. I mean, if it kills you, it's one less of you in this world, and we're not mad at that. But then they go out, and then they find them, and they're like, and like that one video, the famous video of the guy who was like, I haven't seen this chimp in 10 years or something since I rescued it. And it's a wild animal now, and they're trying to tell him, this is a wild creature. Do not go out there. Take me to the bank. And he sat there, and this ape came to him, sat with him, hugged him, groomed him, went out and found his troop and brought them and introduced him to the rest of the troop. And when he tried to leave, tried to stop him from leaving, or when he got on the boat, walked along the shore. So people think animals are dumb and that there's no emotional connection. But I think they're absolutely 100% wrong. Animals don't forget kindness, because there's also videos of
There's that dude who had the lion, who got rid of the lion.
the lion cubs. And they went out, and same with tigers. They went out and
Yeah, because I remember this one dude. I don't remember, like, I'd have to look it up, but there's this one guy who had, like, a lion cub, and then he realized how wrong it was to keep a lion cub.
and it wasn't one of those, it wasn't the
Yeah, he was like, this is just wrong, right? So he went to release the lion in Africa, and then he goes back to see it later, and it's like the lion remembers him.
yeah, and it's a male lion too. Mm-hmm. And instead of attacking, he runs up and he's like, hey, 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 hey.
Yes.
But there's also
Like, at first you think he's going to
doesn't-
attack him, but then it's like, he just
hugs him and takes him to the ground and just is like doing that muzzle thing and whatnot.
the cats do.
Yeah, but it's not just mammals, because there is a guy that rescued a crocodile, and this guy can walk back into the river, give a little pat into the water, and this crocodile swims right up to him, and he just sticks his hand underneath the crocodile's snout, and the crocodile's like, hi, this is my human. Any other human that gets into the water, I will eat you, but this one's mine. Mm-hmm. And it's just proof that kindness will take you a lot further.
Well, I definitely think that you can tell a lot by a person about how they treat animals, because I either treat animals very kindly or with a lot of deference, or both. Typically both. Because like a crocodile, I'm not going to go up and pet a crocodile, right? Like, I don't want to die today, so I'm not going to go up and pet a crocodile. But I treat it with a lot of respect. Like, I respect the fact that the crocodile can eat me and that it wants to eat me. And so I'm just going to be like, hi, from afar. Like, hi, crocodile.
Yeah, but I'm also one of them stupid white people. Like, if we're in an environment where they're like, who wants to pet a crocodile? I do. I will straight up tribute. I'm not going to pet it on its head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pet it on its tail and its back here, so that I have enough distance that if this thing, like, and I'm going to be on the ready.
I know, because they're fast.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to be on the ready. But at the same time, if if we happen to live in Florida and all of a sudden, we're out in the backyard and an alligator or crocodile comes up and is going to like try to eat one of the dogs, you bet your sweet ass I'm going out there with a shovel and I'm going to pop that sumbitch on the head. I'm not going to kill it, but I'm going to be like, kapow!
Like, no. No, bad crocodile.
You
no,
better call
dog.
me Crocodile Dundee. I ain't no damn Steve Irwin. I ain't gonna be like, oh yeah, look at this Sheila right here. Yeah, no, I'm gonna pet it and just give it a big old hug. No, I'm gonna be like, you call that a knife? This is a knife. And I'm gonna smack you with it. But I also go to zoos and whatnot, and I see people, the zookeepers, like with great horned owls and golden eagles on their arms, and I have to control myself to not stick my hand out and go, can I pet it? Like I did in the Nashville Zoo when Rob and I slipped off to go smoke a cigarette, and when we came back, there was a great horned owl sitting on this woman's arm, and this thing is like 2-3 feet tall sitting on her arm, and I'm just, can I pet it? No, you may not. Well, I really want to.
So that is one thing that I think that we should do in our travels, especially when we get older and sell the house and get an RV, is when we go to all these places all over the country, I think we should visit zoos.
I hate zoos.
I only want to visit like conservationist zoos. I don't want to visit ones like fucking Tiger King would have run.
That's not a zoo. Well, I don't even fucking know his name.
I don't want to visit a quote-unquote roadside zoo. I want to visit, like, Bronx Zoo.
Well, I will say that as a kid, when I was living in Chicago, the Lincoln Park Zoo and the Brookville Zoo, that was a great place.
And Chicago's not that far.
And when I lived in Chicago, the two memories I had of the zoo was, one, they had this bat enclosure where you basically get to walk through a cave that has bats freely flying around. And I remember my mom and my sister running across this, bridge. They were like, bats, bats, bats. And I'm just looking up, just strolling as the bats are just flying and fluttering by. And I'm like, I am Batman. And they're like, Harry, come on. I'm like, no. But then I turned around and remember that there was a baboon enclosure. And the enclosure was you can look down into the baboon area. And this lady had her baby, and the baby had a bottle. And the baby dropped the bottle in the enclosure. And the baboon swarmed this bottle and bit off the bottom end of it and drank the milk. Just one bite, just ripped it open, sucked that milk down. And the zookeepers and whatnot are like, all right, everybody back up. And also, what are you doing, lady? Why you got your baby so close to this? This was well before Harambe, which, rest in peace, my beloved gorilla friend.
Rest in peace, Harambe.
You died wrongfully. You were, well, not died, you were murdered wrongfully. But once again, Harambe is just one incident where idiot fucking people weren't paying attention and their children got dropped into an enclosure and they mistook the actions of the animals.
Which goes back to what I was saying about deference. Like I think that we should show deference to animals because animals have the ability to really fuck us up.
Yeah. And Harambe had every opportunity, you know, even though it grabbed the kid and drugged the kid and things like that, it didn't hurt the kid. He was just like, hey, hairless ones, you dropped your little one. And when that thing started screaming and squalling, oh, shit, no. Let me get the fuck away from this thing. Sorry, Harambe, we got to kill you. Why? Oh, because we're people. We're humans.
Yeah, I don't think we should have killed Harambe, but...
The year that we killed Harambe is also the same year that Pluto got downsized.
You think we're getting
And
some
Pluto
vengeance?
is, lest we forget, the Greek god of death.
Think we're getting some hate from Pluto?
We're getting some hate from the universe. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm talking to you.
So it's Neil deGrasse Tyson's fault because he demoted Pluto.
He wasn't the only one responsible, but he is the spokesperson. There are 9 planets in our solar system.
There are 8.
There are 9.
There are 8.
I remember you, Pluto. I
Pluto
stand by
is a
you,
dwarf
Pluto.
planet.
Pluto is a planet, and I stand by it.
May Pluto smile upon you. And so with that, we are basically out of time for today.
Join us next time.
Thank you guys for listening. Join us next time on FN White People.
Bye. Love you.